we jail you up there. It's got so everywhere it is bad. It's bad.
So can we say our fight against corruption is faulty already, or what does this mean?
I don't really see any sincere fight against corruption all these years. The only semblance of fight against corruption was maybe during Obasanjo time, when Obasanjo tried to bring in the EFCC, but at the end of the day, it was schemed towards getting your political enemies and so on. Look at the 8 years of Buhari that everybody thought, this man is coming, he has integrity at his side. But at the end of the day, I think the country ended up worst. And even right now, a lot of things are happening in this country,
All right. But are you saying there's no way around this?
Well, we all have to wake up as a people if we really want to see a difference. It's not something that it's not cast in stone. If we really we need men of integrity to lead and show examples with themselves. You can't. Corruption is not just when you take money. Corruption comes in different perspectives. Employment, anything you are doing, nepotism, all these things. Let the leadership of the country shows that they are serious about corruption. If they show that they are serious about corruption, every other person will follow. But until the leadership is ready, my brother, it will be soldier go, soldier come, barrack remain the same.
All right, very sad commentary there. Let's move on to other talking points as we have some other issues on our desk. In case you're just joining us, is the desk, and I've got the president of the Isoko Development Union, the Abuja chapter. He is Simon Enejadu, helping us look at issues of national importance as we look at the recent statement by the ICPC or report saying that 330 MDAs failed the integrity and ethics test, making it very disturbing in terms of why corruption is perverse across board. All right, let's move on to other talking point that has to do with national interest. But just a quick one, in terms of the EFCC and the ICPC, how do you judge both anti-graft agencies? Do you think one barks and doesn't bite? Do you think one barks and bites?
Well, I think to the eyes of the public, I think the EFCC has been more effective than the ICPC.
Would you say effective or more popular or more?
It's more popular. It's more popular. It's more popular in that at least once in a while we see some window dressing, we see some news item, you see people being taken to court, there are some convictions and so on and so forth. Even though some of the convictions are not what we expect, you see somebody steal billion of naira to go away with a little fine, and then it will let him to go and steal more, So that one is a problem there. But the ICPC, well, I think by design, ICPC is actually supposed to work more with the government
agencies,
agencies, but we don't really hear much about them. The public are not so, if you talk about anti-corruption outside, I think people will tell you they are more aware of EFCC rather than the ICPC. So I think the ICPC itself has a lot of work to do. Let the people know what you are doing, let them know you are serious in what you are doing, and then the people will begin to buy in and begin to give you the necessary support. For example, if I work in the civil service and I notice something that I need to report, I think my mind will not even go to ICPC. So they still really need to do more to create that awareness for people to know that they are doing something.
There are two issues which the survey discovered. The issue of lack of whistleblowing policy or mechanism. Do you think that's deliberate? Because that shouldn't be difficult for them to do. When you're talking about whistleblowing policy or mechanism to, raise the red flag. Do you think these MDAs deliberately do not put that in place to checkmate corruption within?
Well, in the ministry, in fact, once they identify you as a whistleblower within the organization, if they are discussing anything that will cause a stir, once you step in, I think everybody will keep quiet, say, he has come. So I think the top echelon of the management of the MDAs themselves, I think they hate the policy and they will not want it to succeed. Of course, the reasons are very obvious. You know, you don't want anybody sneaking around you and to tell the public what you are doing. But you see, the government should not take that as anything. If the government comes out with a strong whistleblowing policy, people will key into it.
But it was effective initially.
I remember when
rewards were given.
Yes, exactly. We remember the issue of the money that was discovered in Ikoyi.
Yes.
So even though we didn't know how it ended and who eventually owns the money, we remember the money that belongs to Kogi State government that was found somewhere, even though we don't know how it ended. So is it the end itself will determine whether people will really take you serious. You know, if you blow the whistle on somebody and at the end of the day the person gets off the hook, of course you become an enemy. You understand? Another thing is the whatever reward that was supposed to come to you, did you really get it? You know, the reward system has to be, you know, effective for people to really key into it. But other than that, the punishment aspect of it, for somebody has blown a whistle and a person is discovered to be true, let the person serve the punishment, and not a case of you do just window dressing and tomorrow the person becomes enemy of the whistleblower, and the person becomes a victim.
All right, let's look at other issues we're taking to Edo State, where it's the Edo State Asset Verification Committee said it had uncovered some irregularities in the award of some contracts, including a 200 billion naira road contract debt owed by the immediate past administration of Godwin Obaseki. Ernest Omakihi, the committee's chairperson, told journalists on Thursday in Benin that some contract was even returned mobilization fees to the government officials which were not properly documented. The committee also queried poor supervision of projects. Let's just quickly running into Edo State. Looking at all this, does this further, prove the point that the last administration was not sincere in its dealing, or you think this is just a dig up by the ruling party to discredit the former administration?
Well, in Nigerian politics, part of the reason why you see governors fighting to make sure that when they are leaving, they put in their own puppet is because once the opposing political party takes over, of course, we see this recurring decimal every time. You know, there has been no case of a government taking over if it is not the same party. If not, they are not the same. Even where you even have it at the same party, if they are not in tune with one another, those allegations comes up every time. You know, so it's not something new. We've seen it several times. Yeah, the Obaseki government might not be an angel per se, but I think the government did some good things too, because it can't be bad all the time. And at any rate, the people deserve the government they get. You know, so if your people are good, you can't have a devil running you. If you are bad, then you can't expect an angel to be running the government. So
I think that just ends that conversation. All right, so let's move on to the next. We're looking at fuel hike, where the Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, Petroran, has urged the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, to slash its ex-depot price of premium motor spirit, PMS, commonly known as petrol. The spokesperson, Joseph Obale, made the call in the statement Thursday. This comes as Dangote Refinery reduced its own ex-depot petrol price to 899 naira 50 kobo per litre from 970 naira per litre. Let's look at this issue. Do you think someone is playing creepy here. If Dangote can reduce theirs, why shouldn't the NNPCL, which is supposed to be government-owned, which is supposed to be for the people, reduce theirs? Rather, they are keeping the old price, and also other independent marketers are sticking to the former price. Shouldn't there be a committee like we used to have before go around to ensure that these prices are reduced and enforce it?
Well, I think at this stage, every Nigerian is confused on who is really running the petroleum business. We don't know if the government is against the public, or the public, or Dangote is the one that is against the public.
But with this one, it shows Dangote is for the people.
Well, recall before Dangote come upstream, there was a significant movement of the price of petroleum program from 617 naira to 1,060 naira or something around that figure. Yeah. So it was a significant movement. And now, so a lot of people, they would see it as a move to make sure that when Dangote comes in, Dangote should have a good market to sell its price, which I think is wrong. You don't do things because of one business, you know. Now that Dangote is on, today we hear there is a 2 kobo reduction tomorrow. Those are not the reduction that the Nigerian public are looking for. It does not show outside. For example, let's say 2 weeks ago you were taking the normal taxes, say 1,000 from Kubwa to central area. With the reduction of 20 naira, would that make the taxi driver to bring down his prices? That's the kind of reduction we want is a kind of reduction that even when the taxi driver tells you you should pay 800 naira, we probably should be able to
challenge him.
Yeah, that look, the prices of petrol has come down. It's not to go to the filling station and there is a 2 naira movement on it. You don't even feel, nobody even know that there's even anything. So NNPC should really come up, and you know, if Dangote, a private operator, is saying, okay, we are coming down, he has reduced his own twice now, but still if you go to the NNPC filling station, it's still the same thing. If Dangote private decisions can come down, I'm sure the government, if they want to be sincere to themselves, can reduce this thing further to give a significant support to Nigerians. Everybody is crying because of fuel everywhere.
All right, well said. Let's move on. We've got a lot on our plate this evening on the desk. Let's move on to the issue of ransom data, where the National Bureau of Statistics on Thursday clarified that the Department of State Services, DSS, did not summon the Statistician General of the Federation, Adeyemi. MBS issued the clarification following the hacking of its website and the subsequent leak of controversial report on the ransom payment in Nigeria on December 17. MBS published its crime experience and security perception survey. According to the report, Nigerians paid a total of 2.23 trillion naira in ransom within 1 year from May 2023 to April 2024. Soon after the report was released, the agency's website was hacked. Following the incident, rumors circulated that the DSS had invited Adeyemi for questioning regarding the methodology and data used in the report. However, MBS head of communications, Ichedi Sunday, denied the claim, stating that Adeyemi was never invited by the DSS. Do you think there's insincerity smelling around this story? First of all, wasn't this data supposed to be for Nigerians? Why should the MBS turn around to deny it and say that website was hacked, like it wasn't meant to be released?
First of all, I think I have a problem with how the statistics people get their figures.
Are you saying this figure does not tell you we paid more or paid less?
They will tell you, if you okay, they will tell you the price of so is so today. When you go to the market, it's not the same thing. Are they getting their figures from a different market? Or okay, let's even leave that. Let's go to the ransom paid. If they kidnap your person, are you going to tell the police how much you paid for ransom? How many people tell police how much they pay for ransom? Whereas the first thing they will tell you, if we hear this thing, your person is dead. There are a lot of kidnappings going on, and people pay without even involving the police. Even if let's assume they even involve the police, is there a synergy between the police and
The public?
those one doing the statistics? How did they arrive at that figure? Is it the one that state government and the federal government is paying, or that is the one that the general public is paying? There's nothing to show. So, you see, the statistics they give us every day, inflation is coming down. Meanwhile, when you go to the market, the price of things are going up. GDP is this. Meanwhile, it doesn't show in people's life. GDP is growing. It doesn't show in anybody's life. So how do you take those statistics serious? Any Nigerian who is basing his forecast on the statistics that is coming out from those this thing, I think you're making a very big mistake. So
on the part of if that story was true that DSS had invited the MBS, would that be out of place?
Well, the DSS, they have a reason to invite everybody across the country. They can invite anybody. They can invite you. They can invite me. You know, if they think yes, anything you need to clarify. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong in DSS inviting anybody. So,
the issue of the website being hacked. Do you believe that story?
Well, I'm not there, so I wouldn't say whether it was hacked or not. There were a lot of. So if it was hacked, what was the reason?
Because first of all, they denied the invitation of DSS, and now go ahead to say it was not hacked. Well, those stories seem to be an agreement.
They know the games they are playing, so me and you can only speculate here, but the truth they won't tell us. You know, so they know the games both of them are playing out there. So, to me, I think.
But don't you think a body like the MBS should be protected from such assault? Peradventure, this did happen, knowing fully well that they are doing the statistics for the good of the country.
Well, if you say
because it's a government agency, not a private agency that is okay. They're doing it to winch on to the government.
Yeah, in fact, the figures coming from the MBS are supposed to be what the president relies on.
Yeah. So,
for example, when it goes to the
even the security agencies, it should be a plus. They should be happy to have statistics.
Exactly, but you know, in a situation where everybody is dancing to his own tune, a lot of things can happen. So
a bit of eye service in that.
Exactly. So you can't say.
All right, very interesting happenings in Nigeria. All right, let's take you back to Edo State, where the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has invited the suspended chairpersons of 18 local government councils in Edo State to its office for interrogation. The FCC invitation was contained in a letter by the agency's Director of Investigation, Abdul Karim Chukul, and addressed to the Secretary to the Edo State government in a letter dated 17 December. Chukul directed the chairpersons of Akoko, Edo, Ego, Esan Central, Esan Northeast, Esan Southeast, Esan West to report to its office on Thursday. Others expected to in the commission, the chairpersons of Esako Central, Esako East, Esako West local government area. The remaining chairpersons from Igweben, Ekboba, Oka, Orion 1, Ovia West, Owan East, Owan West, I expected to. Let's look at this drama. First of all, it was the governor, the fact that they did not respect the governor's directive to submit their financial records. Is it enough? Now we see the EFCC seem to swing into action quickly. Do you think this is the use of state apparatus to winch out these 18 PDP local government chairman, especially with the Attorney General of the Federation saying what the governor had done was out of place?
Well, first of all, the local government is a federative unit of the country. The state government is a federative unit, as well as the federal government. And so if we...
But the local government has got autonomy based on...
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Right now they have autonomy.
Yeah.
So it is not compulsory that they must report to the governor. You see, governors, the state governors have taken these things, they make themselves demigods all across the country. That's why you can just wake up one day and say you suspended all the. You are not the one that put them in office. The people put them in office, and they should respect that autonomy. You see, these are not things we are supposed to fight. Everybody is supposed to know that local government is autonomous. But what has been happening? They toy with their fund. They toy with everything about them.
But with this recent ruling,
if,
does the EFCC not playing to the gallery also?
Well, the EFCC, like I told you, initially when they started, it looks like it's a safe fight, but later on they become a tool for political witch hunting and so on. So I think this is a clear case of federal government because, of course, the current leadership in Edo State is APC. APC is at the center. So if PDP, if the governors were elected on the platform of PDP and they are all PDP, of course, I want to begin to see a ploy to try and see that, oh, okay, the governor, all the local government areas should also fall in line into the APC line of thought. And this could be an instrument for such witch hunting. I think the Attorney General tried a lot for coming out with such a statement. I was happy hearing about it yesterday when it was.
But with what the EFCC is doing, what will you be expecting? Do you think the EFCC headquarters in Abuja should be calling them to order?
Definitely, they should call them to order. But if they don't, I expect the local government chairman to go to court.
All right, so let's see how that's going to pan out in the coming days. Well, let's move on to something more interesting as we head towards Christmas, where the House of Representatives has raised 704 million naira through the 50% cut in their basic salaries to its members. Speaker Abbas Tajuddin announced this during plenary on Thursday. He stated that he would lead a delegation to present the money to the President Bola Tinubu on the 31st of December. In July, members of the House resolved to save 50% of their salaries to support the federal government's effort to cushion the effects of economic reforms on vulnerable Nigerians. Do you see this as a showmanship? Why present the money to Mr. President and is for vulnerable Nigerians? How do they decide who are the vulnerable Nigerians, who gets what? Do you think this is just show of just to make the presidency or the ruling party look nice?
Well, a lot of these people are just they're just trying to play to the gallery because, I mean, first of all, we know they don't live by their salary. That is obvious.
So,
I mean, is it the...
But cutting 50% and we're having 704 million, does that give us an idea how massive?
704 million, how much is their salary? You should have an idea. So if you take that from each of the things, would it be 704 million you will get? It will be definitely much, much bigger than that. So I think doing that is like, to me, I think if they have a critical sector they want to support, they will say, okay, we're contributing this money to help this critical sector. So that doesn't need to go to the president.
Do they need to lead a delegation?
Yeah, it's not necessary. Yeah, we've heard it in the news. That's enough. We'll say thank you for donating 50% of your salary. Give it to that critical sector. Let's see how it goes. But when you put it give it to the federal government say, okay, put it to social account. At the end of the day, nobody knows what will happen to it. It could become one of the Abacha loot that we hear about the loot, but we don't know how it was used and how eventually. All
right, let's time not our friend. Let's quickly look at the last talking point, the Niger Delta, the challenges and remedies. That's where we're heading to. Quickly, can you roll out someone from the Soko community? For you, what will you say are the current, challenges there?
Okay, yeah, I think this question, I like it so much because I'm from the Niger Delta. I'm from East Soko. Precisely. Isoko is a small, we have just 2 local government areas in the state out of 23, also local government in Delta State. And Isoko has been a major oil producing communities in Delta State. After the discovery of oil in Olobiri, Bayelsa State, the next place was Uzere in Delta State, in Isoko land. Yeah. Until today, oil is still being produced on a consistent basis. There's flaring of gas all over the whole place. New fields are being discovered every day. But surprisingly, there is no single federal presence in Isoko up to today. Nigeria has been in existence for 64, 65 years now. Not a single federal presence
Why?
in the whole of Isoko.
Why?
Well, I don't know whether it is the fault of our representative, that the representatives are not doing enough, or it is just because the Isoko man is known for being a peaceful man. We are unlike our neighboring tribes that might want to take the force of arm and so on. We don't do that. We prefer to negotiate and talk things, but it is not paying. So if you look at the whole of Isoko, there's not a single federal institution, not even a hospital, nothing at all. Not a single federal presence. And it will surprise you that since this current dispensation of politics, not a single minister has come from that area too. So it's a criminal neglect of the golden goose that lays the golden egg. Pure criminal neglect. And I think a lot should be done to alleviate. But let me zero in on power sector there.
Yeah. I hear there's no power there.
There is no power. For the past 1 year, the last time I saw power in my community was about 20th of December last year. And since then, if they've had power very well, maybe up together about maybe 30 hours for the whole listen.
What's happening to the governor, Sheriff Oborowere, the governor of Delta State? Well,
if you meet the governor will tell you it's an affair of BEDEC, Benin Electricity Distribution Company, you know. And they come up with all ridiculous sort of estimated billing for each community, you know. These estimated billings are not, you can imagine my community, it's a very small community. They say we are owing 100 and something million. Who will pay that? Who will pay that? We resolve and they say, okay, they will give us light. Give us light 2 days, and that is the end of it today, after paying them over 40 million. So performance of electricity in the whole of that area is zero. The only community that seems to have a semblance of electricity is Uzere, and it's a gas plant. So that is not in the national grid, you know. So if I travel home, one of my major concerns whenever I go home is you have to set apart a huge part of your budget on electricity. Of course, you would not want to be in darkness. You must have to maintain your generator. You must have to buy the fuel, and the fuel is very expensive.
What of the international oil companies that operate there? What has been their own support, or you know?
The oil companies that operate in the area, most of them are marginal feed now. So they run generators in their feed, and that's all. They don't care about the communities. Communities are not involved.
What of the social corporate responsibility?
I've not seen it in anywhere. Not seen it anywhere.
Okay, finally, what will be the role now of the Isoko Development Union, which just kick-started its operations fully now?
Well, Isoko Development Union is a non-governmental body. It's an umbrella body representing the Isoko people, and I know that there are efforts through the petroleum industry bill. There are efforts to see what proceeds could come to communities in that area. Can they invest it in electricity so that they can independently run their own plant to supply, because electricity is the engine room of everybody, you know. So there are moves for community to subscribe to a fund using their petroleum industry bill money to subscribe to a fund for independent power station. But, you know, of course, those things, they don't come easy. A lot of negotiation, a lot of decent agreement, decent tomorrow, and, you know, that kind of, because such money, before it comes to any community, of course, the community has their own plan of what they want to use. But when you now say, okay, let's bring it together and use it to do power, of course, you have a lot of people who will dissent from it. And so it hasn't really gotten a clear focus of where we are going. But I think if it is something we can do together, and we're able to have an independent power in that area, I think it will go a long way in ensuring development. Because without electricity, no industry can function there. Nothing is happening there. That's the truth.
All right, that's how much time will allow us to talk today on the desk. Hopefully in the coming days, and hopefully next week, to say the least, we'll be having the president of the Isoko Development Union join us on the desk and other programs so that we can touchlight more as regards the challenges of the Isoko people and the Niger Delta as we seek for development across the 36 states of the Federation. I want to say thank you once again for joining me on the desk.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the time you gave me.
All right, that's how we call it a wrap on today's edition. My name is Anthony Momodu saying thank you for being with me on the desk.